Hello AMP, my name is Annie Liu and I'm one of the UTAs for this class. I listed down my email right here, so please email me if you have any more questions. Today I will be going over different classifications of epithelial tissues. First, let's go over the different classifications of epithelial tissue. Alright, so first we have is simple, and now we also have stratified. Okay, so the first one we will actually go over would be the simple epithelia, which only has one layer of cells attached to the basement membrane. This portion right here is a basement membrane, okay? So as you can tell, this one layer of cells is attached to this basement membrane. So the way I thought about this before was that since it is called a simple epithelia, it's the most uncomplicated one since it's only one layer. Also, you can think of it as using the letters as well. Simple, single. The same two first letters right here. Okay, here we go. Next, we have the stratified tissue. And this is actually two or more layers of cells. So right here we have 3 layers of cells. Cell layers, excuse me. Alright, so the CL right over here stands for cell layers. And only the first layer is actually attached to the basement membrane. And the other 2 layers right here are not attached to the basement membrane. The way I remember this is honestly just knowing that the simple is 1 layer, then the stratified must be 2 or more. Also, you could think about stratification, which is the formation of layers, classes, or subcategories as another way to remember this. Okay, now let's move on to the cell shape. So these again were the cell layers, and now here are the cell shapes. So again, we have cuboidal, and we're going to go into more details with this, don't worry. So cuboidal, squamous, and then columnar right here. And we're going to go into more details about these cell shapes as well. Since we just described the cell layers, we will describe the cell shapes afterwards, and then we will put it all together. First, we will go over the cuboidal cell shape. Like the name suggests, it's shaped almost like a cube or a box. Well, more of a rounded cube, that is. Oftentimes under microscopes, so let me get you to the microscope photos. The cuboidal cell may not look as box-like as in the photos or as the pictures drawn, but more rounded like so here. So if you look at this picture, the cuboidal cells, so that would be right here, all of these right here, right? They look more spherical in shape instead of pure squares or cubes. And I think that this is an important thing to remember, that the picture does not always translate to how they would look like under microscopes. So here's another example right here. As you can tell, it's not exactly as box-like as the drawings are, but that's just an example of how they would look like. In our bodies, the cuboidal cells form walls for ducts, glands, and the kidney tubules, or the bladder. Alright, now let's go over the squamous cell shape. The shape of this is similar to a fish scale, and as you can tell, it doesn't really have that much cytoplasm. Alright? And it also has a flattened nucleus compared to the other cell shapes. And what I mean by it looks similar to a fish scale, here I also got a picture of a fish scale over here, is as you can tell with a fish scale, it kind of dips on the edges but then swells a little bit in the middle, correct? So that looks like a squamous. Another one squamous. So that's just a way I like to think about the shape. It's not exactly completely flat. It's more like there's like a bulge right in the middle as well. So with the squamous cell, it's often where there is to be rapid diffusion or exchange of solutes. So think about your lungs, and here I have a picture of the alveoli of the lungs, okay? So, and The lungs have the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, the kidneys, which exchanges waste and also filtrates, or the lining of your heart. And these are some examples of what it does. I like to relate the structure to the function as well. The way I like to think about it is that because it's so flat and scale-like with the flattened nucleus like I talked before, and the little amount of cytoplasm it actually has compared to the other cell shapes. With this, it's able to diffuse things quicker, and the way I like to think about it is that your body will want it at places where there's a bigger stress or importance of quick diffusion, such as the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, or the exchange of waste. So here I actually have two photos of how squamous cells look like under the microscope. So as you can tell, it looks a little bit different from the way that it's depicted through drawings and such, just because in my opinion it looks a lot more thin in some places and more swelled in others. And what I mean by that is in the photos usually depicted in terms of drawings and such, it often shows again two tapered ends compared to one, I guess, swelled area, correct? But in some of these actual photos under the microscope, it doesn't exactly look exactly like that, but pretty similar, right? Alright, so the final shape that we'll be looking at today would be the columnar cell shape. Like the name again, it's shaped similar to a column and lines most organs of the digestive tract, including the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine. And it helps with absorption and secretion. So with absorption, it absorbs the nutrients in the small intestine and secretes acid in the stomach, for two examples. Columnar cell shape can also be ciliated, which means that the apical side, so that would be this side, right here, has cilia, which can look something like this, I would say. All right, so this is going to be the cilia. And this is the apical side, and this is the basement membrane, okay? And this helps, the cilia actually helps with movement. So, for example, the cilia, so again, this portion right here, can actually help move mucus and other substances found in the upper respiratory tract. So the way I like to think about this is cilia is kind of like crowd surfing. I know, a weird example, but hear me out. So I describe the cilia movement similar to crowd surfing, right? And the crowd, so the hands is on the apical side of the cell, right? So right here. And this is the basement membrane. Okay, so right now we are looking at this portion, the top part of the cell, okay? So I'm going to describe the analogy first and then I'll demonstrate it with this purple person right here, okay? So when someone is crowd surfing, there are a bunch of hands right here pushing against the person in usually one direction, right? So usually these hands are pushing the person, let's say to the right now, so that the person can get to the destination of out of the crowd, which is going to be right here, okay? So when this is happening, the person is coming from over here and going this way, right? After the person leaves this whole section of the crowd, then these hands right here stop pushing, okay? And then as a person is moving towards this set of the hands, then these hands start pushing. So what I mean by that is these hands will stop, but then the new hands will help move the person in that one direction by pushing. And this keeps happening until the person makes it theoretically. So let me demonstrate what I mean, okay? So we have this purple person, right? This is going to be the solute, okay? This person comes and crowd surfs, right? So right now, right here, these set of hands will be helping to push this person along, right? All right, let's move this person, woo, right? But then as the person gets to this set of hands right here, then these hands will help move the person this direction, right? But then the hands right over here, there's no one here, so then they stop pushing. Okay? So then the person comes over here, and then now these set of hands are like, hey, we need to push this person now to the right again. But then these set of hands that the person was just on are like, hey, there's no one here to push, so let's stop pushing. The way that this relates back to cilia movement is that think about the hands right here as cilia, okay? And then the person is going to be the solute or the mucus in this example. So here we go. So the cilia are moving the mucus out of the upper respiratory tract, similar to the crowd surfing analogy I gave before. Alright, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Happy studying, and please email me if you have any more questions. Good luck!